Greetings, everyone. This is Robert Mall, and in this podcast, I'm going to be discussing my reflection from week one, exploring gamification. Now, gamification is not something new because this last year I've been working on an action research project where I gamified aspects of my classroom and also used the Quivers method, which was pioneered by Paul Anderson. And so, what I wanted to do was I wanted to figure out how to incorporate a leaderboard into my classroom, as this is something that I had never done before. So I did some research on trying to figure out a practical way for me to create a leaderboard on my classroom. So initially I had some concerns, and one of which that I brought up this week in one of the discussion posts is that looking at all the things that we did this week, we did a lot of scavenger hunts and all kinds of different miniature assessments. And the problem is that it's very time consuming to sort through and sift through a large amount of data that can go along with gamifying your classroom and giving many things an experience point value in order to have a leaderboard. Another one of my concerns about the leaderboard was the unhealthy competition, the shameful aspect of you getting on the bottom of the leaderboard and possibly never being able to get anywhere higher because you don't possess the natural talent in the class or whatever. So this idea that competition can actually be hurtful towards students who never really would be getting an A and who would never really be at the top of the leaderboard. The last thing I was concerned about leaderboards is it would just be too complicated to manage all of that stuff. I'm okay with Excel, but not fantastic. And so with these concerns, I looked up, and one of the first websites I found was a website called Ignite Education. And it step-by-step walked me through how to make a Google Sheet leaderboard calculator so that I could have a Google form responsible for not only submitting my points for a leaderboard, but also having a leaderboard visible to my students. And so what I did is I went ahead and followed the tutorial, and I'm going to show you where this is. And so if I go to igniteeducation.com, you will find a whole bunch of different interesting things. So I clicked on Exam Calculator 2.0, and I went through, and at the bottom of the screen there was a little video tutorial. I followed the video tutorial, and I was able to make my own leaderboard. So my leaderboard had 5 potential students on here, and from this leaderboard page I can input a certain number of points. In order to input the points, I also added a password protection, which he also goes through how to add a password on here. And so if I don't submit the right confirmation code, then I can't add points. But let's say I wanted to add 12 points for Robert Mall. I'm going to submit these points, and then we can view the live form. And when I look at the live form, we're going to see this basically a calculator that shows all of the experience points. It has a whole bunch of different things that we can deal with, some different class experience points, top 10 ranking. So I made this for my class, and you can see that I can put more students in here. What's really neat about this is you can have the student avatar, total experience, their current level, the title you can give them, you can put them into specific guilds, and then it ranks them in order, keeps track of what guild they're in, and then you can have a guild leaderboard, so students can be working together in a guild and they have a specific amount of points, and then we've got our top 10, how the guilds are comparing, and then the class experience points. So I made this leaderboard for my students, and they could input various points in here. Now I could do this, or I could have them do this. Still got to figure out how to. I could have them do it so that they couldn't put points in for everybody else. But once I have this, I went ahead, and this is my school webpage. And on my school webpage, just for AP Physics, I was able to embed into my school. It's called a haiku, and in this webpage, you can see I've actually embedded in the class experience points, the class leaderboard, and the guild analysis. What's really cool about this is this year, as part of my intervention, I had my chemistry students in a guild. And so learning how to incorporate my guilds into this collaborative but also competitive side is something I was really looking for in a leaderboard situation. So now it's not just about competition, but I can also have healthy collaboration in terms of having various guilds. So once I looked on here, I found an article on this website called 6 Tricks for Seamless Leaderboards, and I read through this, and it had some really helpful advice. And these things I really plan on doing when I start my AP Physics class in the fall, and I'm having a lot of online multiple choice quizzes, which I want to use as part of experience points. And so one of the things I'm going to do is make them optional. So I want to make sure that they have an option to do this, but it's not required. And what this could do is it can help kids and encourage them to be motivated to try to get themselves on the leaderboard, to keep track of what they're doing, to monitor their progress. And if they don't want to participate, they don't have to. The activity will still be worth points, but not the leaderboard itself. The next thing that I learned about is using an avatar, something that I wanted to do last time, and he also has a nice article about how to set up good avatars. But using this will keep students' names out of the forefront on the leaderboard. Making them cooperative, using the class experience points, where a whole class could be earning points to some goal, or the guilds are a way that I could make this not just a competitive but also a collaborative process, which is not only important for my classroom but also for the scientific practices, this collaboration. The next thing would be to display the top 10, and so by displaying only the top 10, if you don't make the top 10, there's no record of how low you are or how high you are, and it will give a competitive edge to did they make the top 10. Another option that the author suggested was to display growth or to personalize your top 10 playlist or leaderboard, so that you're showing, maybe one week you show what percentage increase you had during the week. So even kids who aren't on the top of the leaderboard can have some fame involved with what they're doing. The next thing he also suggested was to personalize, and so this could be maybe only showing the top 5 or lower 5 below or above where you're at, so that you can see where you were at and how that you can get to the next level. And so I thought these are really good ideas, and so where I'm going to go from here is I want to be able to incorporate this leaderboard into my classroom. I already have the form. I need to input my students into it. But I want to find a way to get them to keep track of their scores, to input data, and then have them do the leaderboard themselves, so I don't have to manage it, but they can still have the fun of doing it. The other option is I have to make all the content for my classes and associate them with experience point value. And so I have to make the quizzes in order to figure out how many points they are and to tie them into an overall leadership scheme. Well, this has been my week 2 reflection, and I hope that this has been insightful for anyone who decides to view this. Have a great day.